Everyone is so kind on the road to Shabbat.
And nationality is mostly about tasting each other's food.
Through 3 decades of camaraderie and dedication, 355 people rode the shuttle into history. They circled the Earth 21,000 times, and it all came to seem routine. Until it wasn't.
15 seconds, velocity 2,900 feet per second, altitude 9 nautical miles, downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
This shuttle mission will launch. My God. There's been an explosion.
Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction.
In 2 accidents that stunned the world, we lost 14 astronauts. It was a sobering reminder that every spaceflight is charged with potential danger.
They had a hunger to explore alone to the faint-hearted.
Born, but pushed on, because the accomplishments of the space shuttle and the International Space Station were full of life-changing promise. In memory of our lost heroes, the global space community pulled together to reignite the future of both programs.
Who could ask for a better ending to my career as an astronaut than getting to fly the last shuttle mission on Atlantis and a final visit to the ISS?
Atlantis launch director, air to ground 1.
Atlantis, go.
So for the final time, Birdie, Doug, Sandy, and Rex, good luck, Godspeed, and have a little fun.
Without ending the journey today, Mike, we're completing a chapter of a journey that will never end. You and the thousands of men and women who gave their hearts, souls, and their lives for the cause of exploration have rewritten history. Let's light this fire one more time, Mike.
Though the shuttles no longer fly, I never miss a chance to see Atlantis at the Kennedy Space Center. Here, in the giant operations and checkout clean room, the new Orion multi-purposed crew vehicle is coming together.
What an impressive vehicle. Look at that. It's beautiful. That's gorgeous. I'd love to climb in there.
Orion is a true deep space exploration craft designed to carry astronauts of the future back to the moon, to asteroids, and even to Mars.
The newer group of astronauts chosen by NASA.
Like the rest of my class, I'm absolutely honored, and just by using this toggle switch over here.
Yes, that exactly.
Learning from astronauts like Lee Morin, who have already spent weeks in space, gives you a great sense of confidence.
The Orion mock-up provides astronauts in training, like Serena, a chance to learn flight procedures and also give feedback to perfect new systems. This should be a piece of cake for Serena, since my shuttle's 10 screens and more than 1,000 switches have been streamlined to just 3 screens and 60 switches on Orion. Hey Lee, you can open the helium cross-feed valve?
Okay, we got that go, so go ahead and send that command on the helium cross-feed valve.
All right, copy that.
and the shuttle's 100 pounds of flight manuals and checklists have been reduced to, well, 0, since Orions are all on computers.
Stand by and we'll evaluate.
But even with all these improvements, to get Orion...
When NASA's giant space launch system built by Boeing is complete, the rocket will stand as tall as a 38-story building and make more than 9 million pounds of thrust, enough to lift 22 elephants into space. For deep space expeditions, the SLS will need to lift 5 key mission components beyond low Earth orbit. Since Orion is too cramped for a 6-month journey to Mars, one solution being developed is an inflatable habitat to house the crew en route. A solar electric propulsion device will provide continuous power for the round-trip journey. A lander craft will carry the crew from their orbit above Mars down to the planet's surface. Months later, an ascent vehicle will lift the crew back up to the orbiting Orion for the return trip to Earth. But even using the most sophisticated future spacecraft, a 2.5-year round-trip journey to Mars will present new challenges to the human body.
I wanted to thank the Indiana State...
Experience with more extended weightlessness on the ISS has shown us that the human body will face challenges during lengthy journeys to deep space. Key issues are muscle and bone loss, which can start after just a few days of weightlessness, along with degrading of vision for some astronauts. We now know that exercise is the antidote for most problems caused by weightlessness. And I mean exercise, about 2 hours a day. But even so, the first explorers to Mars will need to, which permeates all of deep space, is another ever-present challenge to human health. Sections of Orion, as well as the transit habitat, will have to serve as a shelter in the case of a major solar flare.
In the Arizona desert, an Orion mock-up is being drop-tested to evaluate re-entry systems. On returning from deep space, Orion will enter our atmosphere more than 50% faster than shuttles or Soyuz capsules, and generate 5 times more heat. So perfecting her parachute deployment and heat shield is key to crew survival. At the Kennedy Space Center, Orion is being prepped for an uncrewed test flight into deep space. This new vessel marks the first step in over 40 years to put humans beyond low Earth orbit. A journey to Mars is on the horizon because of wide-ranging international efforts by both governments and private enterprise. Companies from Boeing and Lockheed to newcomers like SpaceX, Sierra Nevada, and Orbital Sciences are developing spacecraft to service the ISS and beyond. Some private groups foresee a technically simpler one-way mission to colonize Mars. Already thousands have volunteered to live permanently on the Red Planet. The demands of going to
the Johnson Space Center. I first started thinking when the Apollo suits were first done, those were very short duration EVAs. We didn't have a lot of mobility in that suit, so when you see those astronauts hopping around on the lunar surface, it's not because they themselves are clumsy or that the gravity is just impossible to deal with. We didn't give them enough mobility in the suits, so we learned a lot from that. For the next generation suit, there's still a lot that we don't know about what it's going to be like to live and work on Mars every day. Once there, we'd be doing EVA, walking outside on the planet about every other day. Once we have the hardware in-house, we become the experts of how that hardware works, what it does, and how it meets the needs for our next phase of our mission design. we actually get into the suits, because the best way to understand how do you do all those geology type tasks. So one of the big problems they had in Apollo was all of that dust on the lunar surface. It stuck to everything. When the guys would come back inside of the lunar module at the end of their EVAs, taking off their suits, there was dirt everywhere. There was dirt on themselves. It was just gross, right? What we call a suit port. The idea of a suit port is that you have this plate that becomes your pressure seal between the vehicle and your suit. So when you're not using the suit, it stays outside the entire time. It is physically attached to the vehicle, so you can come in and out of your spacesuit without ever having to physically go into an airlock like we do today.
Welcome home, Richard. How'd the suit feel?
Feels good.
Outstanding. Strong work out there.
Driving a space exploration vehicle on dry land is great training for deep space missions of the future. But driving a mini-sub was even more exacting. A mini-sub resembles the kind of craft we will use to explore asteroids, and the ocean matches the zero gravity of space. Any mistakes here can have real... Since asteroids appear to have changed very little since they first formed, they could tell us a lot about our early solar system.